I've got a variety of paints here. We have a silver, a very dark gray, and then this is black. There's barely a difference between the two. Got some paintbrushes. This little stand came in a box of goodies that a viewer has very generously sent me. I knew exactly what I wanted to use this for. This is a pumpkin that I have painted copper in the past, and we're going to give it a makeover. These are from TEMU. Get whatever butterflies. You can use stickers, you can use cardboard, you could use cutouts, whatever you want to use from wherever you want to get them. Just letting you know where mine came from. I'm going to paint this entire thing, the chalkboard, black first. Whole thing. I'm using a brush with long hairs or bristles so that it can get down in all those little recessed areas in the design. It's like a filigree design. I'm going to take the dark gray or the slate gray, and I'll use that on the pumpkin while the stand is drying. I don't want to give a full heavy coat here. I want to have some of this copper still showing through because this is going to have a lot of dimension. Just wait until you see how it turns out. I'm very pleased, very pleased. So I will concentrate the color on the bottom and the top. I am not focusing on the ribs of the pumpkin at this point because we're going to do something a little bit different in those for some additional dimension. I'm not going to paint the stem. We're going to leave it like it is. And you can see how it looks. You can see the lighter areas where the copper shows through. This is a matte paint, so I'm just going to go ahead. You'll see the color changes slightly. I'm going to dry it. And then once both of these pieces are dry, we are going to, well, first I'm going to go over this bottom piece with some of the chalkboard paint. Now, I realize when I'm looking at this, without my glasses, of course, that you might not notice that much of a difference to the eye when you first do this. I am dry brushing this slate gray over the top of the black. It is very subtle. You can hardly see it on the camera, but in person, it definitely makes a difference. It brings out all the highlights of the curves and the filigree and the different sections on here, right? Because this is going to go right on the outside pieces, and that black is going to create the shadows that are on the lowest part. I think y'all understand what I mean by that. All right. Once that is done, I'm going to go over it with a little bit of heat just to dry it quickly. Then I am going to grab some of the black, the chalkboard black, on my little chippy brush, and I'll go between each of the ribs. Now, it's not important that you go between every one. If you have a pumpkin like mine that is more of a natural look, that has ribs that are very, very close, you could just choose where you want to do it. You know, space it out and just choose where you want to do it. And it's gonna, to the eye, it will change the shape of the pumpkin somewhat. I love what it does. I absolutely love what it does. You can tell the difference already. You see that? Yeah, I really, really like that look. And of course, if you don't like the look and you don't want to do it that way, that is totally fine, but it's a lot of layering going on this pumpkin, okay? So hang with me, stay with me now, y'all. Don't give up on me yet. Dry that layer, and then I'll grab some more of that sterling silver. This is just on a bath sponge that I've torn into pieces, and I got it at Dollar Tree. This is really good for a textured look, and we're just going to pounce this all over the pumpkin. Don't push it down into the recessed areas because we made those black intentionally, right? So we want this to go all over the top. We're just lightly pressing this down. If you're enjoying or learning anything from this channel today, I would love it if you would subscribe. I thank you so very much. All right, so we're just going to keep on. Look at all the dimension. You can, it almost looks like ash or like it was burned, but you can still see that copper underneath. Oh, I love this. It just looks like tarnished, rusty metal. It's just giving me so many Gothic vibes. And I really do hope you like this, that you will try this on a pumpkin. It's just paint. If you don't like it, you paint over it, right? Yes, exactly what I wanted. Now the center of this little stand here is depressed, and I need it to be raised up somewhat so that the bottom of this pumpkin will sit flush with it, And I am just going to use some of this mounting tape to do that. This is just a double stick gel type tape. I believe it is called nano tape. It's referred to as nano tape. And anybody in the comments, you want to tell me what it's called at Walmart? I think it's alien tape. You can put that in the comments to make it easier for people to find. I'll have it linked though in the comments where I get it. All right, so I want to make sure that the pretty side of the pumpkin, the right tilt of the little knob on top, and the legs are all in the right order. Once I know it's where I like it, I'm going to press it firmly in place. If you don't have the depression in yours, just use some hot glue, whatever type of glue you want to use. Okay, now I'm going to turn it where I want the front to be, and I'll grab those little, they're not stickers, they're like a magnet. They have a little magnet piece in there, so you could really put them on anything metal. But these have little skulls all over them. They are a butterfly, they're not a moth. You can see it's like a swallowtail. You can bend these to change so that they're not exactly flat. You can bend them to change the shape slightly. They're like a PVC plastic type stuff. And then I'm just going to decide where I want to put it. Now, the design I'm using on here is not anything new. Lots of people have done this, and a lot of places are selling items like this, where you have like a swirl of butterflies or moths around the pumpkin. That's what I'm doing. This is just my own spin on it, because I'm really trying to drive home the point that when you make something your own, when you really enjoy it, it just changes the whole entire piece. We could all do an orange pumpkin with a black butterfly if we wanted to, but if you want your home to be unique and really reflect how you feel you want your home to look, then, go ahead and make some of those decisions on your own. Make some decisions to change it. You could use monarch butterflies. You could make this more of a rustic look if you want to. But with the metallics and the black and with these little skulls on the black and white butterflies, it just screams Gothic to me. Let me know what you think. I could also have added a little bit of glitter or paint to these black and white butterflies. I did a little bit of practicing and I just did not like it. For me, it just felt right to leave them like this. I'm just going to continue that swirl up to top. I see that I have like at the medium size. There's a larger one in the pack, but it just to me was overwhelming. So I used the medium, and then all of the small ones will trail up to the top. And it will end with one solitary butterfly right on top of the stem. And I like the look of that very, very much. And here's one sitting right up there by herself. Hey, I just want to say thank you. I always want to let you know that you're welcome on my channel. We don't talk politics or religion or anything of the such. We keep it positive in the comments and positive and supportive all over the place in this channel. So whatever brought you here today, I am very happy to welcome you with open arms. We have a lot of fun over here. We get very creative, and I'm always offering a ton of encouragement. So I want you to feel welcome here if you are new, and if not, thank you for staying with me all this time. It's been 4 years, y'all. Okay, so this is how this beautiful pumpkin is going to look. Look at all of the dimension and the color in that pumpkin. I love this. And like I said, I just left the stem the way it was. Take liberties, change things up however you see fit. You can make yours silver. You could paint it black. I'll always tell you that if it's something that you really enjoy and like, it doesn't matter what other people think about it. It's your home. It's your surroundings. You need to do what makes you happy. And not just in crafting, but in your entire life, right? We hold the reins. This is a piece I've thrifted, and I've actually used it for a Christmas DIY on another person's channel. And then I have some stickers, and these are actually bottle labels. I've got some of that beautiful copper and some chalkboard black, a chippy brush, a paintbrush. I'm going to start off by using the copper. And I'm going to go all over these framed pieces. I liked the way it looked to begin with, but I figured, you know what? Let's just play around. Let's play around, like I said a moment ago, to just paint. If I don't like it, I'll go back over it. But I really love this beautiful dark and deep copper. Hey members, you know I love you. Thank you so much for your support and your continued encouragement for everything I do on my channel. Thank you, thank you. And also thank you to everybody who's here. So once you've continued all the way around, all the way down to the bottom, and you've also done your chains, we're also going to pounce that all over the chain. I'm going to take the black, take a lot of that off, and I will dry brush each of the frame pieces. Just dragging it over there, it's going to get right on the top. See the difference? And the idea for me is having these looking aged. I think with the Gothic, it doesn't look clean. I think the crustier, the older, the more tarnished it looks, the more convincing it is of the age. So that's why I do it this way. I'm going to go over with that same paint all over where we painted the chain copper. I'm going to dry it off. And you can see that I painted the backs in the copper also. Now I'm going to use these like little pictures in here. They're going to be little photos, like the perfect size for this. All I have to do is trim it a little bit. So to do that, I am going to put the pictures right underneath the frame. Trying to keep them in line, because if you don't, then you're going to have a crooked picture. And then I'll take a pencil, mark the back on each one. You don't want to mark on the front necessarily, because then you have to erase it off. So if you can do the back, that's usually better. Now, since I know this is the inner ring or the inside, I'm going to need to leave this a little bit larger than my pencil mark, because we don't want it to fall through the frame. So I'm going to leave it a little bit larger. Just go on the outside of where I made my ovals. Very easy to do. Yes. Now I'll take a felt sheet. You see this is like a firm felt. I'm pretty sure you can get those at any craft store, but I did thrift like 12 of these, and I love using them for backings. They're just perfect for this. And they're flexible, but they're still firm. They're great to use, just in my opinion. So we're going to peel these stickers, and I'm just going to place them down on the felt and push them down and rub them into place. They're going to grab a hold to the fibers on that felt, and they'll stay on there without you needing any additional glue. Again, right to the outside of that oval, just right to the outside. I will cut those out, each one of those, and they will press right down into the frame. Now, if you need to, you can put some hot glue on yours. I'm not going to need it for mine. I'll go over, because you can still see the white, and I'll go over and just pounce a little bit of that black paint all the way around the edges, so when it's in the frame, it just has a shadowed or cameo look. So now that we have our little cameos ready, we're going to give them a little burst of heat, get them dried. Be careful though, you don't want to melt or bend anything. And then once they're dry, you can just pop them right into the back, and for me, mine just stayed. They were just the right size. Don't you love it when something works out? I really do. Y'all, it's the small things, and it should be the small things, right? I'm learning every day to be grateful for every small thing. If yours don't fit, go around it with a little bit of hot glue. If it's trying to pop out, just go around it. Now I decided to even out my ovals, add just a little bit more in there to really give it some depth. And I like the way this looks. I could almost see this hanging at an apothecary, Just hang it in there, just have it looking real cute. You could have this hanging off of a pegboard, or you could have it hanging off of the little, your chest or whatever you're using to decorate, your coffee bar. You could put it anywhere. Anywhere. You can hang it off of a cabinet knob. I did thrift this piece, so you could always make your own though, with some little frames and some chain. But I hope you like this piece. Really easy and quick to do, but I think it does have quite a bit of impact. I love it. It brings me joy. I love this paper. I'm going to grab this black and white paper. This is a little box I recently thrifted. It already had this little foam in it, so maybe this was a jewelry box of some sort. It's just a little wood box, very plain. It's got, I guess somebody replaced the clasp in the front, and we're going to do better. We're going to do better, y'all. Grab up some more of that dark gray and some more of that same silver, my little sponge. And then here's the hardware. I ordered mine from TEMU. Get yours wherever you like. Wherever you like. You could even take it off of another piece. It comes with these little screws. All right, I'm going to start by removing the flimsy pieces here. I'm not worried about keeping these in place, keep them in order, because I know that I'm going to use more decorative pieces on mine. I'm just going to put these in the trash. If you recycle, throw it in with your metals and go ahead and recycle it. We're going to fix it. It's going to be so much better. I know you will agree. Now, it has already been cleaned. I am just going to sand it off. I'm going to sand off, not that it's rough, it's pretty well done, but I want to get off any little bumps, any little snags, because I want this to look like a metal box in the end. I'm also going to round out the corners with my sanding block. They are foam, which makes it great for this because you can press down and it gives you the room to do that. Just going to round them out slightly. And then I'll go around just the whole box and do this. If it needs to be done on the inside of the lid and bottom, you could do it there as well. Be sure anytime that you sand that you then wipe it off. I'm just wiping it with a dry paper towel. Didn't have a lot of, oh, I'm thinking fallout, and that is not the word. Sawdust. There we go. Sawdust. But I'm going to wipe it out really well anyway. Okay, now I'm just going to set this on a piece of plastic that I'm recycling. Protect my tabletop, which I'm still going to have paint everywhere. Let's just be realistic and honest about it. It's going to be all over my hands and probably some on my nose and my hairline and everything else. You know how we do it over here. Okay, so I'm going to continue along and I'm going to paint this whole thing. I'm going to be careful not to paint on top of my metal hinges. I'm going to paint up to it, and the flat edge of this brush makes it great to make a nice line. You can see how easy that is. It's all in the tools you use, y'all. Pick the right brushes for the projects that you're doing. I'm going to open it up once it's dry, and then I will go around the inside walls with the black as well. I don't need to paint the bottom flat surface of it because we're doing something different. All right, so my chippy brush, I've gotten almost all the black out of it. I'm just going to add a little bit of silver, and then I'm pushing this down over all of those screws because we want the screws to have the same finish as the rest of the hinge, clasp, whatever you want to call it, lock, mechanism, whatever. Go over that. I am just, it's a little more than a dry brush. I'm pressing down a little more than that, but I don't want to get it into the recessed areas. There's a lot of detail in these two, really, really pretty pieces, and I don't want to destroy the dimension that's already there. Now, for this sponge piece, I am going to use a piece of recycled cardboard that it's got some spray paint on it. I didn't intentionally do that. I just cut it out so that it will go on the back of here. I want to add some of my Quick and Thick, and I am going to spread it on here like I'm putting butter on bread. Okay, and I'm going to chase it across the table, just like that. And then I'll put that in place. I'm leaving a little space around the edge of it just because when I cut it out, it turned out that way. You can put some weight on it, flip it upside down, give it a little time to dry. Then I'm going to take a piece of felt. No, not felt. No, that is not what that is. This is a little bit of fabric that I had left for some pants from another project that I did. And I'm going to use that beautiful velour, and I'm going to fold it around this sponge because this is going to be the bottom, and this is going to be the place where we put the jewels. You know, if you have rings and things like that, you would want to be able to cut some little slits in here to slip the bottom of the rings or the earrings or, whatever, down into it. So we want to fake that that's what we're doing here. But if you want to use this for your actual jewelry, you can certainly do that. I'm just going to show you what it would look like as a prop. And we'll fold our ends in and glue those down as well. And I know it looks kind of funky there on the end. It looks kind of puckered, but when you push it into the box, that won't matter. We can't get too precise about everything, can we? We certainly can on this channel because I don't do the math. I don't do the numbers. So there we go. And now you can't see it at all. It just blends in with the sides. Perfect. Perfect for my intents and purposes. Now I'm going to grab some Mod Podge. I'm just going to be using it on the bottom, so it doesn't matter what finish that you use. I'm using matte. Variety of what I use is matte. Majority, rather, is what I... Okay, yes. A majority, my preference, there we go, is matte Mod Podge. Y'all, what is happening to me? Anyway, so I'm going to put that down all over the bottom. I'm going to try to make it kind of even. I don't want any gaps or I don't want any bumps or anything in there that's going to cause wrinkles. And I'll just press it down. That's not a heavy coat. That's a light coat. You could also use glue stick, but I didn't think I could get into the corners good enough with a rounded glue stick. So this is why I did the Mod Podge. Then I'll use my little squeegee tool. You could even use a credit card, a store card, a shopping card, a driver's license, whatever you have to do that. Just press it down, make a nice, beautiful decorated top. Y'all, I have done lots of black and white type decor. I sure have, and I really, really, really enjoy it. You can get paper, by the way, similar to that print at Dollar Tree. It's in the contact paper over in the kitchen area. That's where it is in my stores, or where the glasses and cups are. So you can get some contact paper if you want to do that, if you like that print. Okay, so we're going to give that time to dry, and we're going to put the new latch on here. Y'all, I absolutely love this. So I'm going to put it together, set it down right over where the original holes were, because they were actually in the right spot. And I'm going to use the tip of my little screwdriver to just make some holes in here to give me guides for where I want to put my screws. And it also helps hold the screw in place. You can see the new spots there. It's going to help hold that screw in place while I screw it down, because they are tiny. So just to cheat a little bit, I'm going to add a little hot glue to help me hold this in place so it's not wiggling around while I'm trying to put the screw in. How do you like that little tip? Yep, you don't need a lot. It's definitely not going to hold it without the screws. It will pop off because it's metal, but it will help you hold it in place while you get your hardware down. Just like that. And you know what I like about this particular little clasp is that you can actually turn that bottom side the other way and it gives it a completely different look. It still snaps. It's gorgeous. It's pretty. It's just my opinion. You could always take something off of a thrifty piece that you have and use that hinge. How about that? Really stretch your dollar. Now I'm going to screw this in, and yes, it looks terribly aggressive. I don't want that screw to run away from me, so I'm making sure that I hold it. You see how tiny it is? Even in my little bitty hands. My little bitty painted hands, because you see, I never disappoint when it comes to that. Now we're going to go in and do the bottom section too. And I love it. I love it. Now, doesn't that look so much better? So much more high-end? Yes, absolutely. By the way, that's only one coat of that dark gray paint on the box. Only one. Now I'm going to go with my little sponge and my brush. No, with my sponge and my paint. And I'm going to get this all over here. Y'all, it's one of those days again where I'm struggling with my words. I did not feel good yesterday. I had a lazy day. I had a headache. I could barely make myself work. And I feel like today I'm still a little bit trying to get myself back in order. So please forgive me in this video. Do not let this one video deter you from subscribing on my channel. I promise. It gets better. It really does get better. We all have those days though, you know? Speaking of, thank you to everybody who's been so kind and commented and responded about my situation and my kids and everything. I'm not going to go on and on about it because I choose to focus on everything that's positive, but I just want you to know I read all my comments, every one of them. And if I don't comment, on what you put in the comments, I am still going to be giving you a heart and a thumbs up. And some people are actually going to get blocked because they're very nasty, but most people are fantastic, and I love it. Okay, so once the silver has dried, I'm going to go back over with some black and my chippy brush. This is just to darken back over the areas that I need to darken. If you have any spots that are a lot more silver or any blobs, this is going to help soften that look and make it look much better. You can look at this as a galvanized piece. You can look at this as a tarnished silver piece. Totally up to you. I'm going over the hinges with the black, so I want it to look tarnished and old. And this is how it's going to look. You see how I got heavier all around those edges? All right, so you can also do the inside edges of the box if you want to. I didn't do it because I forgot, frankly. Now I'm going to show you some ideas of staging this. I've got some little buttons. I've got some little crystals and things that have been thrifted because I like to pick those up. I like to pick them off of other things. This one's broke at the top, but we're going to use it. And keep in mind that if you're using hot glue to place these down, like I'm trying to make them look like rings that are pushed into here, be very light on the amount of glue you use, because the silverish color that's on the back of the little backing for the rhinestones can chip off, and then you'll see your hot glue, and you don't want it to look sloppy, right? Now this is like a hollowed out button, but I thought it looked like a snake, so I decided to use it. Thought it was appropriate. And these are they're little black spiders with red in the middle that are for jewelry pieces, so you could make earrings or whatever with them. But we're going to pretend like they're actual earrings, and we're going to press them down into there. Okay. Now, y'all, bought some new wax. I got this from Amazon. This is not a sponsored thing. I just wanted to try it because that black paper in the top needs to look kind of old, doesn't it? So I'm going to pounce it in, take it off. It's like a gel type texture. It's not runny like what you get in the bottles, like the antiquing wax I normally use. So I see so many possibilities with this. I really, really like it. And the container is enormous. I'm going to try to link this for you if you're interested in something that's more of this consistency, because it is a big, big container. Look at it though. Man, with a fluffy brush. Woo! And then I'm getting all over the sides here, and it's not going to wet the paper. I love it. Look. That's exactly the look that I wanted. Now I have just a raven sticker. And y'all, I'm sorry I can't tell you where I got it from. I've had these since the scrapbook days. I have had several of these little bubble looking ones, and I save them and I reuse them over and over. But I haven't used the raven yet. So we're going to put it in this box because I think it's perfect. Why not? This beautiful, elegant Gothic lady probably has a great love for all things raven. You know she loves spiders. This is how this little beauty's gonna look. I'm obsessed. I love this. This would be so cute as a treasure box. If you don't do jewelry, you could put markers in it. You could put secret letters in here, love letters, love notes. You could use it as a recipe box in your house if you wanted to. You could put bath bombs in here. You could put your treasured caramels and Reese's peanut butter cups in here. So many options. So many. If you like black licorice, red licorice, put that in there. And I hope that you are in love with this piece as much as I am. Easy. All right, now we got some skeleton arms from Dollar Tree. I'm playing around to see, because I know I want these hands to be together in some way. And they will clasp. You know, you can put them together like this. It's pretty nice there. Okay, I'm going to take this satin paint here. This is heirloom white. I absolutely love this color. And I'm going to spray paint those bones. They're going to dry thoroughly. That's only one coat the front, one coat the back. Then I'm going to take this spray and I'm going to start spritzing this on here. This is going to give, again, that aged look that I like, and it's going to give it a more of a realistic look. Now, I could speed right through all of this because some people don't want to be bothered watching the process. They just want to see how it ends. But for those of you who watch my channel who do these things on your own, because maybe you can't find the type of decor that you really enjoy, so you want to do your own, then you need to see exactly how to do it, right? And I don't want to rush you through it and feel like you're overwhelmed and you can't do it, because you absolutely can do this, okay? So there'll be very little increase in speed here. I want you to be able to see what we're doing. So I'm going to spray that on. I'm going to pat it off. Do not rub, because it will make the entire bone gray, and that's not the idea. You want to let it dry in between layers. Yes, this process does take a little time, but you can put it in front of a fan, or if you don't have a lot of humidity, put it in the direct sun outside and help these things to dry. So once I have enough of the spotting on there to my taste, I'm going to start building my layers of antiquing wax. The areas that would normally catch grunginess and dust and dirt are going to be where all those small bones are. So I'm going to go in there and just darken those areas. I know that I want those low spots to hold some color. So I'm just going to tap this on. If you prefer using a chalk paint for your projects, you can do that too, but beware that when you start fooling around with putting any moisture on chalk paint, it will start to flake off or lift. So just, keep that in mind. That's why I prefer spray paint for this. Okay, so now it's just, again, I'm going in all the spaces, all of the little dark spaces. I'm making them even darker, and I'm just going to build up slowly. You can see already how it's beginning to look a little more aged. I'll do some wiping with my sponge on top of here. And if you don't have the antiquing wax, remember there is a recipe. I wouldn't even say it's a recipe. I just tell you how you can use coffee to stain things while you're crafting coffee or tea. So, I mean, you can definitely do it that way if you prefer. But I've had this bottle of antiquing wax forever, and I'm still using it all the time, and there's a lot left in there. So you let these layers dry in between, otherwise you're just smearing around the same paint, and that's just kind of a waste of your time and your product. So just continue along. I'm going back over where the joints are and where those little bones are, and in between the fingers, because I want to show some shadow. This is more of a living a spooky life situation here, or if you do prefer the dark and moody, something like this would be perfect. And in fact, all the little projects that I do in this video today are going to be appropriate all year long, but you can definitely use these at Halloween if you like. So now I've gotten my sponge, and I'm going to start just stippling that on. I'm just pretty much just popping it on here and there, twisting the brush, or the sponge rather, with that antiquing wax, and then pouncing it up and down. I don't want to rub off anything that I've already put on there. I'm going around the edges of the bone, and I'm also going to go making sure I go in between the fingers. Now the back side of the hand and bone you don't necessarily have to do, because you won't see that, but definitely the sides. This is not a difficult process, right? It may take a little bit longer to achieve, but you can always work on different projects in between while your items are drying. That's what I always try to do. And then when I get ready to edit, I just splice everything together in a way that would make sense to somebody who's watching it. So if you do want to show this entire bone, or you're not exactly sure how you're going to lay it down, go ahead and extend that over just a little bit. Too much glue, too much wax on the fingers will make it where you can't glue it down to your surface, and I'm going to need to secure it in some way, but you can use mounting tape for that. So, there's a way to get around everything. Yeah, I think I am very happy with this, and I think it is the look that I was hoping for. Everything looks good together. You could always brush a little bronze over your leaves if you want to, but I don't have to have everything matchy-matchy. I'm going to use some ink black paint, a thin and a thicker paintbrush, a decal from Dollar Tree. Love it. I found it off season and decided I would keep the little sugar skull. This is a frame I have had since my youngest child was very little. It was in her room. She no longer does pink, so I've taken this out and decided to give it a good old flip. It's old. It's been sitting up. Look at the dust. It's very dirty. Needs to be cleaned. You be very, very careful, y'all. Very careful when you are taking glass out so you don't cut your fingers, but just be careful. Be mindful. We can rush some things, but some things we got to be extra careful about. All right, so I love the shape of this frame. I love all of that detail. It just looks so super gothic and beautiful to me. So I'm just going to go in here with the thick brush first, and I'm going to add that ink black chalk paint all over the top and on the sides. And at this point, if you want to do your back too, you can do that as well. I'm just going to do the front first though, because we're going to let it dry before we flip it. The thinner brush is to go down in each of the cracks there to cover up all the pink that remains. I've used glass cleaner. Clean the glass. I'm going to carefully hold this glass with a towel so I don't cut my fingers and so that I can dry it. And look how much better that looks. All right, we need to cover up the backing here. I'm just going to use a scrap of cardstock that I have. And the background is completely up to you. I like the idea of the black because it makes the white from that decal pop. I'm going to use my utility knife here, and I am going to cut that off, flip it over, and just with a little bit of hot glue on the top and the bottom, we're going to put the background on. Now, if you want to, you can paint that black, but you'll still be able to see the little buttons where they attach the stand to it, and I didn't want to see that. So this just makes a nice smooth surface. Okay, then the glass goes back on top. Perfect. And there's me with no makeup. Yes. What is better for a Halloween video than that? Wahaha. Okay, so now we're going to take that sugar skull. I like to use my fingers and kind of to measure and to place. So I can put my fingers against there, look at where my knuckles are, and that helps me decide where my center is going to be. The good news about these decals is if you just drop them down, they're very easy to pull back up. It's thick. It's a really thick decal, so it's kind of durable. If you drop it in the wrong spot before you press it down like this, you can lift it back up and reposition it. I'm going to use a little squeegee here and make sure that I have no bubbles and no areas of discoloration underneath, because if you don't press it all the way down, you're going to have like little opaque areas where you can see the bubbles, and I don't want that on this picture. Okay, so we're going to flip that over, flip over our decal, drop it in, take the backing, put it down, and then we'll take the little fasteners here and we'll twist those back around. Sometimes when you thrift frames, the little fasteners are broken off. You can just use hot glue or some other type of tab to hold that in place if you want to. And then now's the time I'm going to go over the back and cover it in the same black chalk paint that we used on the front. I'm just propping that up so it can dry. And then once it is dry, this is how it's going to look. Now, this is the original way. You can leave it if you like it like this. But I've decided to do a little something extra. I like to give you lots of options on my channel. I'm taking a brush that is as close to, I don't know, as a fluffy brush, I guess, but still a chippy brush. It's actually a home painting brush. A little bit of sheepskin chalk paint. I'm going to use a tiny bit. Press it up into those bristles and drag that brush sideways across all the details in that frame. And to me, this really, really makes that sugar skull pop against that black background. You can go as light or as heavy-handed as you want to. I do suggest that you start off light and then build it as you want. Otherwise, you're going to end up with something that looks mottled and gray, and everything is going to end up being the same color instead of having the depth in the background from the darker shade. Isn't that pretty? Yes. Yes. Another free project, y'all. I had every bit of this stuff in my house already. I have things, my stash is ridiculous, honestly. It is time to declutter. And in the process of decluttering, I do encourage y'all here at the season where we are really crafting in full force, that if you're not going to use it, then just get rid of it. Just donate it. Somebody else will take it. Use it, change it, make it your own. That's what it's all about on this channel. We have a little Dollar Tree skeleton. I think y'all have seen this little skeleton coffin before. Comes in a variety of colors. Here are the measurements on this for you. I'm going to use some oil rub bronze paint. It's almost black with like a metallic sort of finish in it. Very pretty color. And then I've chosen 2 different types of metallics, but I'm going to go with the espresso. Depends on whether you like the silvers or the warmer colors. But here is the brush I'll be using. And I'm going to start by carefully just removing the plastic that holds the box together. So we have a top and a bottom, and this is sort of a iridescent color. Really pretty, but still kind of screaming cheap to me, and I want to make it look a little more rich. A little more rich. So I'm going to take these outside, and I'm going to spray paint the inside, outside, tops and bottoms, and let those dry thoroughly. This is the finish that you get when it is dry. Love the color. It's not quite as flat as black. And oh, it looks like I actually did use the silver on this one. Excuse me, y'all, I used the silver on this one. I'm going to add a little bit that down on the paper and grab my brush. And it takes a very small amount to do this technique. What I'm doing is pushing this, pouncing it up and down into there to press that paint up into the bristles. Just keep on doing it till it moves it way up in there. And this is going to give a very pure and light finish for the technique that we're using. I want to use this to bring out the highlights. So I'm going to use the side of the brush here and just lightly go back and forth. I do this very lightly to begin with, and I'd like to build it up to a consistency that I feel like is right for me. And, of course, what I always say is to make it your own. So I make it my own, and I want you to make it your own. You can use any color you want here. If you want to use a white or beige, or if you want to do the coffin in a different color, you could totally do that. I'm going to go around the edges, make sure I hit all of the corners because it will stay there. And to me, this just gives it more of a gothic look. My words today, where are they? Where art thou words? So I'm going to make sure that I go over the edges and all around with this metallic. It's like a sterling silver. And then I can add a little bit more. I just kind of pouncing that on. And I'm not using a lot of paint here at all. If you get too much and it bothers you in one spot, like over there by his leg, you can always go back over that with a little bit of paint once it is dried. So you can use any decorative paper you want. You can use fabric or you can use a napkin. Here is a napkin that I thrifted, so I have no idea where these came from. Not one clue, but I do have more of these, so I'll be doing more projects. And the beauty in this piece is because of it's like a dinner napkin, there's enough sections in here to make 6 of these. So I'm going to choose which printed section that I like the best for the inside of this coffin, and then I'll just cut that out. I'm going to gently fold up the rest of it and set it aside for future projects. Of course, waste not, want not. And it's going to work great in here. You can determine your top or your bottom. And then I'm going to add just a glue stick. And I happen to have the same watermelon Elmer's glue stick because that's what I had. I had to go in my daughter's room. I do not know where my white glue sticks are. I think I might have misplaced them in my move. So I am using what I have, and I want you to use what you have too. I'm using the glue stick because it is thin. And if you use something like a glue or a Mod Podge, it might actually cause you to have rips and tears. It's just too loose of an adhesive to use on this type of project. So we are sort of doing a decoupage, but we're going to do it with the glue. I'm going around here with a marker so that I can see where the edges need to be. And then once I get my scissors, I'm going to cut inside of that line, a whole blade's thickness inside of the line. By doing it this way, I should have roughly the exact amount of that napkin print
to fit perfectly down on the inside. And don't worry, while you're cutting this out, you have time. Those glue sticks take a little bit before they dry completely, so you still have a little bit of time for them to get tacky. You go all the way around gently. Be sure you have sharp scissors so that you don't tear this. These plied, when you have one ply of these napkins, they're very delicate. Look at that. Ooh, I love that. And I love that on the inside of that box. Now, if you wanted something to be really bright underneath a white napkin, then you could paint the bottom white. But that's not what I'm going for. What I am going for is a worn, again, Gothic look. Tap, tap, tap all the way down in here, all the way around the edges with my finger, gently, gently. I don't want to drag and mess anything up. So I'm just kind of tapping it into place. And I'm very happy with the look of that. That's going to be the bottom of our little box. Cute. So we're going to use the same sort of technique on this bottom because we want our tops and bottoms to match. What in the world, y'all? I'm going to tap, 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 tap until I get it up into that brush. And then with the side of the brush, the side of those bristles, I'm just going to brush on my edges and around the top edges all the way around. Be sure that if you are using spray paint that you let your spray paint dry as recommended on the can, because if you don't, it's going to be sticky, and when you lay it down, it's going to stick to your surface and you'll have to paint and do touch-ups. Ask me how I know. Okay, so just continuing along, get the look that you like very easily. Let that dry thoroughly before you try to close it or whatever else. And here it is, dried, top and bottom. Nice. And there it is as a decorative piece. Or you could hide candy in here, or you could put some treats in here for the kids. Totally up to you. I thought maybe some of these little spider rings would be cute to put in here, just sort of to display. And then the top fits on. Cute. Kids come by, they can just pick a treat out of there. Here's what it looks like assembled. All in place. If you just wanted to use it, you could glue the top onto the bottom and make it one piece that doesn't open and use it in your decor for everyday decor or for Halloween. And this is what it looks like once again when it is open. All right, we have a Dollar Tree snowflake here. It's old. We're going to use lots of glue sticks, so get some cheap ones. Get some cheap ones for this. I have got some molds here. These are silicone molds, very floppy, like commodity cheese, if you know what that is. These are the ones we're going to use, and I'm going to show you what we'll do here. You're just going to fill these in with the glue. It is that easy. You're going to take that cheap glue and go all inside of the mold. I'm going to link these molds in the description box below. They came from TEMU. I am an affiliate with TEMU, just so you know. You buy your molds wherever you like. I'm very satisfied with mine though, and I think you will be when you see the end results here. So just going to continue along. I'm going to try to make sure I don't get any bubbles. Keep that glue gun going so that it goes down in there. It's hot and it gets into all of those little areas that, we don't all have clay, nor can we all afford to go buy clay, but I bet you've got some cheap glue sticks. Okay. I am doing this to help drop that glue down into any little spots and get the bubbles out. Choose whichever one you like on the little Cameo mold and fill that in. I'm not going to use the tiniest one. I've already got some made. This is just to show you what to do. And then you want to use the same process of kind of bumping it up and down to make sure that we get all of that bubbling out and that it goes straight down into those holes. I got quite aggressive, didn't I? You want to paint those once they're dry and solid, pop them out. You're going to paint them black. I got mine black with chalk paint. You can see the glue on the back, so you know that I didn't try to cheat you and use something different. This is actual glue. Nice and smooth. They are painted solid black. And now we are going to give them a gold finish. So here's some gold paint that I have. Now this is just I think this is like a gloss paint. It really doesn't matter. You can use chalk paint, acrylic, whichever one you choose. This is the one that was on top and I like the color, so I thought, well, let's give it a shot because who knows what kind of paint you have at your house, right? So I love using metals and metallics in my projects. I'm taking a stiff brush. This is a stencil brush, putting some paint in, offloading a little bit, and then dragging it sideways. Dragging it. I want it to rake across those higher surfaces and leave all of that black down in the shadows. Do you see how the detail comes out when you do this? Absolutely gorgeous. It picks up every bit of the lovely detail that was in that mold. Love it. So this is how that looks so far. And then we'll do the same thing for the Cameo. Now in the Cameo, there are a couple of little spots on her face that did not, that had like a little bubble in it. So, forgive her. We're just going to pretend like the age has done it to her. We all get wrinkles and crevices and cracks and, so we're just going to pretend like she's just aged gracefully and she's a happy girl. It doesn't matter. She's confident. That's right. She's owning it. She's loving her life, and so are we. Every one of us are, aren't we? Yes, we are. Love yourself. Love yourself. Y'all, look at the detail. Look how pretty she is. Oh, she's so cute. I absolutely adore her. Put those aside, let them dry. You want to cut off that hanger off of that little star, and then I'll grab that same gold paint. I've just got a bigger brush here. This is very thin paint, by the way. And I'm going to go up and down with my little chippy brush and drag it across. There is glitter already on this, like it's coated in glitter. Using a big brush like this, I can push that down into there and cover up all that glitter. And it kind of locks it in also, so it doesn't shed anywhere. And you're going to want to do both sides of your snowflake and then let that dry. Doesn't really matter which type of snowflake you use, but it needs to have enough substance that you can glue something down to it. Okay? So then I started thinking, you know what? I want to add a little bit more gold. So I just grabbed a thin brush here, and I'm going to go right on that inner ring with the gold, and I'm glad I did. This really makes it pop once we get our Cameo positioned in the middle. This really, I like this better, but you can do yours however you want. I see there was a little hole there. I just filled it up with a little bit of paint. Simple. It'll seep down in there and it'll dry and you won't even see that little bubble. Because even with all that plopping around we did, sometimes you still get bubbles. I've added hot glue to the back. Make sure that the hole is oriented to the top so you can place this down. A little bit of hot glue, and I am pushing it down on that snowflake to hold it in place. You don't want to use too much hot glue because this is hot glue and you don't want to deform anything, right? Just enough to hold it. Pressing it and pressing it. And this is what that looks like so far. And then we're going to add a little glue on the inside so that we can plop that Cameo right down in there. Put her in there, and then you have a second to kind of slide it around to get it exactly where you want it. Look at this. Oh my word. So she has a little, almost like a rosette or something, either on her dress or in her hand. It's almost like she's presenting her shoulder, sort of in the way she's standing. So I thought I would just hit that with a little bit of gold to bring that out. Just my own personal taste. And then if you see any spots that you want to lighten up a little bit more, you can certainly do that. If you don't want to use the black in the background, use some type of a chalk paint in the background, and then your paint that you use on top, whatever metallic, is going to work much better sticking to that hot glue surface. I don't have any gold wire, but I thought I have wired ribbon. So we're going to cut that wire off the side of this red ribbon, and I'm just putting my scissors on there and pretty much gliding it along, and it will cut through it. Try to get as much red as I could off of it for this particular piece. So then we have a little wired piece, which we can feed through the hole in the top and make our own little ornament holder. But you can always use a Christmas tree hook or jute or a pipe cleaner, even if you wanted to make a topping for your piece. But I just thought, you know what, this is something I already have, so why not just use that? Protect your fingers. I've got finger protectors, but of course I'm not wearing them because I'm in a hurry. You know. Then who am I going to blame if I burn myself? Nobody but my darn self. That's right. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, those of you who've burned your fingers. Look at this. Oh my goodness, I love it. But this, chef's kiss. I adore this. Maybe the little dot on her face is a beauty mark. Maybe it is. My daughter has a beauty mark on her face. I hope that you like this little ornament as much as I do, and you could do a bunch of these.
Is from Dollar Tree, as well as this little, it's like a little skeleton ornament, I guess. They come in a pack of several. Here's the ink sign. It's been done a million ways, and you're going to use any type of Victorian or vintage inspired paper that you like. You can use scrapbook paper, you can use old greeting cards, you can use whatever you can find. And then Mod Podge, of course, and a little flat brush, which I love. And a piece of paper that happens to match the theme. So I'm going to start by using Mod Podge on my letters. And I'm just trying to get it right on the top right now. I don't need it on the sides because we're only applying that paper right on the front of the sign. So it's not necessary. Continue around till you have a nice even coat like this. And then we're going to flip the paper right on. This paper is really cool. It has a friend of mine, Marcia, gave me a bunch of paper stacks, and this one has, in the middle of each of those pieces, it almost looks like a little skeleton face, so I thought it was perfect for Halloween. Not to mention it's kind of grungy looking, kind of old and Victorian, which is really cool. So I'm just going to make sure I have no bubbles, no gaps. I want everything nice and flat. I'm going to take my utility knife. I broke the other one, stepped on it and broke it, so now I'm using a heavy-duty one. I have no idea where it came from. And I am going to just start by trimming off the biggest excess pieces. We don't want to do all that little inside work until we get done with all the big stuff. And doing these outside pieces is fairly easy. You're going to go around your entire project and get them off. Then I'm going to use my little emery board here. You can use sandpaper, a sanding block, you can use a finger sander, whatever you have, and just get that down where it is, the paper is right up against your wording. Now I'm going to take these pieces, which, by the way, I found a big stack of these at the Goodwill bins. They are absolutely beautiful, and I knew when I saw them I was going to be using these for Halloween, and then I have some I'm going to be using for Christmas, and I cannot wait. So I'm going to make these look really old and distressed. They already look fairly distressed, but by peeling off the edges, you're really going to make them look tattered and old, and I love that. This project just turned out so much better than I anticipated, so I'm so happy to share it with you, and I'm really, really hopeful that you will feel inspired to do something similar to this. And if you do, I would love it if you will email me your pictures. I've gotten several people who have given me their pictures of the projects that I've inspired them to make, and it is very exciting to see them. I'm loving your work. You are a very talented community of young at heart gentlemen and ladies, and I'm very happy to see that you're feeling inspired in this channel, and I love that. So now I'm going to take my antiquing wax and just a little bit of black, and I'm going to go around those edges. The edges, because they're frayed, are really going to allow that to cling to it. So the color is going to cling to it, and look how old that looks. Yes, that's exactly the look that we want for this project. So I'm going to go around to all of the pieces that I've torn off, and I just chose a few that I thought would look good and that maybe looked a little more Halloween themed. And then you can just take your finger and you can just rub this. We want it to look grungy and just like it's been in a trunk forever or in an attic. You know, you get it. Now I'm going to take a little brush. This one came from Dollar Tree in a pack of 3, I think. They work really well. I'm happy with them. Just in case you're looking for some of these brushes. And I'm going to go around on the inside and around the edges of this entire word. This is going to add a little more shadow, a little more dimension. It's going to add more interest, and I just really love it. Very grungy, right? I can't think of a better word. Aged, old, distressed, grungy. Yeah. Now is the fun part. We get to put these pieces down all over the place. These do not have to fit. You don't have to fussy cut them. Don't worry about that right now. That's not our goal right now. It is just to get those pieces on the page. Now you make sure everything's dry before you start Mod Podging anything down. You know, this project's going to take a little time because you've got to let your layers dry in between. But if you're doing several projects, like I do several projects in one sitting, then you can just let the stuff that's painted, set it aside, and work on the next project. If it's got glue that needs to be dried, set it aside, work on the next project. Okay, so now you understand that part. Let's get all these pieces on here where we would like them. I'm just going to go along and add these down wherever they just kind of make sense, where they kind of fit, where I feel like they're going to be seen pretty well, you know. And they don't have to be sitting up straight. They can be sideways. They can be, you know, overlapping one another. Think about if you've ever scrapbooked before. That's kind of the idea. You know, just put it in there and just journal it all down on this sign. I love Halloween, and I love Halloween creations, and I love bringing them to you. It's so magical, and you know, it's got that childlike whimsy. It's exciting. You know, the change of season is exciting, and it just brings me a lot of joy to do this. So now everything's in place. We're going to Mod Podge it, let it dry. And I mean let it dry completely before this step. This paper is going to be very stiff. All of the little pieces that are hanging over are going to be very stiff, which makes them easy to cut. I'm going to go around there and trim off all of the excess, which is the backs of the decorative pieces that you put on there, the little pictures that you put on there. And just twist them and bend them and tear them off. You know, it doesn't have to look perfect. Check this out. When it is dry, oh my goodness. Look at it. It's leathery and old. I love it. Okay, so now I'm just taking some of that antiquing wax and I'm going to use the brush that had Mod Podge on it. So I have a combination of Mod Podge and antiquing wax, which makes no difference whatsoever. You don't have to do it like this. It's just the brush I had there, so I decided to go with it. You know, some of crafting is an experiment. I'm going to use little blocks to help support this so it will stand up on its own. The part that is going to be glued on, we do not cover with antiquing wax, just like the bottom of the eek is not covered with wax either. I'm going to just use a little bit of, I'm kind of trying to put some where you can really tell what the letters are. So I kind of divided the eek, and now I am I am sort of, you know, outlining some of the places. So see, no distressing on the bottom of that because I want the glue to stick. So I'm using wood glue and some hot glue and putting 2 blocks side by side to make it stand up. Now let's add our beautiful little skeleton man. We're going to make him so happy and not scary. He's smiling anyway. He's not scary, is he? Nothing scary about a skeleton. We all have them inside of us, don't we? And that is not scary. All right, so we've removed his arm and we're going to place it at a different angle. Same thing on this side. He's going to have one arm that is out to his side like he's putting his arm around you, and the other arm we are going to make him wave. So I'm just going to reattach it at the shoulder. Now a lot of people are telling me that you can put these in boiling water and then you can dunk them into ice water, and that's an idea if you want to do it that way. But for me, in crafting for you guys, I want to do this as quickly as possible to give you the ideas so that you can use them for yourself. Now the feet are at the wrong angle for him to be standing up straight. So I'm just going to take them off right above the ankle. Gosh, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? This is not for the faint of heart. I'm going to trim off the ankle and I'm going to reassemble him just like we did his arms. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the feet down on the bottom, see where he's going to be standing so I can get an idea of where his arm's going to be back there. Excuse the fuzziness of the camera right now. It was focusing on the top of the E rather than the feet, but I think you get the idea. You're going to add some glue here. You're also going to add a little bit of super glue so that nothing pops off. I did not do that, and I had to fix that later, but do it now. It's the best way, best way. All right, now on the top of the feet or the ankle area, I'm going to add a little more hot glue and super glue, and then place his legs back down on the feet, and I'm just holding his little arm behind until that glue dries, just like that. Now to keep him from popping off, because there is, you know, we got the antique wax on there, glue might not work, so I'm going to use a shallow staple and attach his arm. And look how cute! Now he's not scary at all.
You can use a glue stick or some glue, scissors. This is a banner set that I got from TEMU. I've chosen 3 out of here. And this is some boxes. Now, you can get your boxes. This was $5 at Target originally. I didn't pay that much for it, but you can get boxes from Dollar Tree that are the same size. They don't have to be different sizes. This is just the way that I'm doing it because I have them, right? So why not? Now, you can arrange your boxes in a variety of different ways. And I'm just showing you some different ways you could do it. A lot of y'all really enjoyed the curios that I've done, so I thought, well, let me show you another way you can do them if you can't find the little pipe drawers or whatever they're called. If you can't find them, you can just make your own sort of situation. And I'm very happy with the way this turned out, so I do hope that you like it as well. So now I'm just looking to see which one of the girls I would like in each box. And I'm kind of going off of the size, you know, how much of the illustration I want inside of the box. This is the arrangement I like. And now I'm choosing my ladies. And I like that the 2 on the bottom are facing each other. Okay, so I've chunked the glue stick and I'm going to be using my glue. I've also got some of this wire ribbon from Dollar Tree. I can't find this anymore. This is the last of it, and I have not been able to find it at several Dollar Trees. So I am going to apply some of my glue right in the bottom. And then I'll use a brush to kind of spread it out. I'm not using a lot, probably. It's not a heavy application, but it's enough that it has, you know, some stickiness because we want this to fit down in there and to hold it. Now you trim down your pictures however you want. You can use a pendulum cutter, you can use a tape measure, ruler, measure it all, put it in there. I usually just go by my eye, and if it's a little bit too small, I'm okay with that. It usually blends out, or you can always add some trim to it. Right? We're not going to quit just for that. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to the next box and put the next lady in there. Same process, going all over it. And what you don't see me do is I do add a thin coat right to the top of all these when I'm done, and it gives them a glossy, kind of a glossy finish if you use that clear glue on it. And generally I enjoy matte, but I knew I wanted to do something that would look better with gloss. So you'll see what I mean later. All right, so here are those ladies in the boxes. They have been glossed over and they are dry. And now I'm going to start using this metal ribbon. I'm not even exactly sure what this is called, y'all, but I believe that's what it is. And I found them in the gardening section. I had 2 different types, completely out of the other one, and then I'm down to the last of this. I'm going to use these to go on the top of each one of the boxes, and then I'm going to frame it out by putting them on the bottom as well. So first I'll just decide how much I need for each box. Again, I'm not using a ruler, I'm just kind of looking where I need to go and holding it with my finger. Then I'm using my cutters here just to kind of hold on to them and weaken that. You can just kind of push it back and forth, and it'll break off. Metal fatigue, I believe is what it's called. And we'll get enough for each one of the boxes. This looks very Victorian to me, so I thought it would be suited for this. Suiting? Need more coffee, girls. I need more coffee. girls and guys, because I do hear that there are some couples who watch my videos together, and that's awesome. I welcome everybody on this channel. All right, so instead of grabbing the box and measuring it again, I'm just making sure that I have 2 of each size for the 3 boxes. Easy enough to do. If you're enjoying this content, if you've seen my other videos, why don't you subscribe to the channel? I would love to have you here, and I'm going to bring you as unique, affordable pieces as I possibly can, and that is a promise. All right, I'm taking an old sponge brush here, so I got a hole in the side of it, and I'm just going to use it with a little bit of chalkboard paint. Any black paint would work for this. I don't want this to be shiny, so the chalkboard paint has a matte finish. I was going to use my ink chalk paint, but just to show you, this works really good, and I got it from Dollar Tree. I don't want solid coverage here. I want to give this kind of a tarnished look. Now, there has been some discussion about the way I do this. Some people say put your metallic color down first, then brush the black on top. Either way is totally fine. Just make sure that your layers are dry in between, and you can do whichever one you like for, to make it your own. Just pressing that down. It is not even full coverage. You can see that. But I want them to look pretty much similar though, because they're all going to be on the same project in the end. Drying, of course, before I layer any paint on top. Then I'm going to take some of this brushed metal, and it is in a gold color. And I am just kind of pouncing this up and down with this brush. Up and down, all over. It is not a smooth brush. It is almost like a type of a stencil brush, and it gives it almost what a chippy brush would give to it. Just a rough kind of finish. But I think it looks really good over the black. And then, like I said, if you want to put this down first and the black on top, you can definitely do that. I do end up, I think, I don't know if I left it in the video or not, I do end up using a little bit more of black on the top of it in the end anyway, just to make it a little more tarnished. You know, when you hold it up against your pictures, you get an idea of if you like the coloring or not. So I'm just going to seal this with my Mod Podge. It's a clear matte sealer. You can totally use whatever you like to seal yours. I just don't want it coming off of that metal. I'm going to grab my tight bond and put it on the boxes and start putting these together to make it resemble sort of like a little house. Because it's going to be like each room's going to have different things in it, just like when you do a curio cabinet or a little, well, you know, the ones that you've seen me do. Just like that, a cabinet of curiosities. So this is going to be our witchy sisters cabinet of curiosities, if you will. You know, my videos and my creations are for inspiration. You can always change anything up you like. You can change any adhesive you use, any tape you use, colors, stains to stain it or not stain it, whatever you want to do to match your taste. You could use different inserts. You could use cards from Dollar Tree, totally up to you. Now I have this little stack of skulls and some of this wax. That's a dark wax. I'm just learning how to use it. I'm just kind of going out a little bit, I guess. I'm exploring a little bit more on my antiquing techniques and trying some different things, because I always go for my antiquing wax, but I've been happy with this so far. I really have. So I'm just going to go in here with a soft brush and get down in every single nook and cranny in here, every bit of it. This was a rather stark white with no shading and the black eyes, and it just did not look aged to me. So I thought, we're going to do this, and then I'm going to wipe it back and see what we come up with. So I'm just getting a little soft cloth here. Soft cloth. There we go. And I'm going to wipe back all of the excess and leave the wax down in all of the little depressed areas. And it's pretty easy to do. You just rub over the surface and it will stay. Look at that. Perfection. It's exactly what I was going for. So our little house is coming together. I'm going to take some of my tape here and run it right along the top, because you are not going to get a good hold if you use hot glue with that metal. It is just not going to happen. It is going to pop off. So I am going to use this instead, but you can use the same type bond that you used to put the boxes together. If you have time and you want to wait, you'll also need to clamp it down because you don't get immediate hold. You can hold it in place or clamp it, but doing this with the tape works so much better, in my opinion, because it's sticky on both sides, and once you press it down, it's immediate hold. So it's perfect. It's perfect for what I'm doing. Plus it's clear, so you really can't see it. You can cut your strips smaller. You can use little blocks. I'll show you in a minute how you can just kind of put patchy pieces if you don't want to do a roll. And you can get this tape. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but you can get this tape in a variety of widths. So you can get the more narrow, you can get really wide, depending on what you want to use it for. There's a lot of uses for nano tape. It's just up to you. You just have to kind of let your mind go out there, like I have been doing. Makes my crafting a lot quicker, y'all. Really does. And this stuff is super strong. I get mine from TEMU, and it's not called nano tape. I think when you get it at Walmart, it's called nano tape. It's also called alien tape, gator tape. There's a bunch of different names because a bunch of different companies make it, but it's pretty much the same thing. All right. I've only tried the cheap stuff from TEMU, and I'm extremely satisfied. So if I can pay 49 cents a roll for it, yeah, I think I would rather do that. Moving on. I am just showing you that if you have a hard time getting the edge up because it is clear as well, just grab a weeding tool and you can get that off of there. Starting in the corner, and I'm just going to push it down, and I'm using my fingers to make sure that that edge is even with the top edge of the box. And then whatever's on the outside of it, you just bend that over. It's pretty malleable. You can bend it with your fingers, but you can also kind of knock on it with your scissors if you want to kind of, bend those edges around. But this is how that looks, and I'm very happy with that trim on there. If you don't have this, you could use some type of a fabric trim if you wanted to. That is a little Christmas tree that I spray painted black. I've got a little potion bottle. I've got a little black cat figure. And there's our little skull. I've got a variety of other things we're going to add to it as well. There's a broom. All right, I'm going to cut a little length of jute and work on that broom because that black and white is a little too modern for the look I'm going for. So I'm just going to use jute to wrap that around. You don't have to do this. You can make your own brooms as well, or use whatever type of a little broom that you have. But since I had this one available, we're going to use what we have to save money. So that's what I did. And I'm just going to wrap that around there and then add a little glue and then cut off any of the excess. Then I'll use my heat tool, and I'll get the white clumps of glue off of there, and it also takes the fuzziness down off of the jute. It'll make it nice and smooth, and that to me looks like a little more like it's been used a lot and aged. Just be careful when you're using any heat tools to protect your fingers and your any other things that are laying on the table. You don't want to melt anything. So I'm going to fluff out the bottom of this, push that back down because I got it a little too hot, and then decide where I want to put all my pieces. This is like the favorite part, think of doing something like this. I really hope y'all like this idea and that you'll try it. If it's something that you want to add to your home, I would love it. And anytime y'all have something that you do, a creation that you make, and you want to share it with me, you can just email me at makingitmyown1@gmail.com. I would love to see it. I have several ladies who regularly send me pictures of their creations, and I love it. I love to see what you come up with. It's amazing how things can be done so incredibly different, from person to person. I love that. Makes it special, and it shows me that you have learned to make it your own, and that's what we're supposed to do, right? It's in your house. It needs to bring you joy. So I'm going to put the cat down here. I know you can't see, but that little witch on that side actually has a cat in the background with her, but you can't see it. So I put the cat in front of her cat. Then I put a potion bottle down for the other lady. She looks like she's mad anyway. Looks like, well, she may be looking in the mirror, but it looks to me like she's got a little broom there. She's about to whack her sister with it. Y'all have got this little birdhouse thing. I'm not sure where it came from, but how pretty would that be right on top of the house to give it like a little roof? So here's the antique wax that y'all are used to seeing me use. I'm going to take a brush. I'm going to put it all over except for the chimney and the roof of the house. which I will be coloring black. So we're just kind of adding a little more Victorian vibe to this little witch's house by putting this steep peak on the top. Then I'm just using some of that tight bond on there. You can use a little tight bond, a little hot glue. Well, no, I'm using hot glue. I didn't use my tight bond this time. And I'll put it on there and find out, just where I want to place it, and then hold it there for just a second. And then you can start painting that roof line. So I just want to say thank you. However you ended up here today, if you came from another person's channel that recommended me, if you saw me in your channel recommendations, whatever brought you here, I am very, very happy and pleased that you were here with me today. All right, so I'm going to take my wax and I'm going to cover up a spool. The little pieces down there that I showed you, the lamp and that little sewing machine, those came from the thrift store. It was a bunch of dollhouse stuff that came from a thrift store, and I got several of the pieces that I could scarf up because other people were getting them too, of course. And then the little buttons that you saw me show you, those were from, I believe Colleen sent me those. I got a bunch of goodies in a huge box from one of my sweet subscribers. So yes, I am using them. If you are wondering, yes, when you send me something, I do use it. Okay. Oh, somebody sent me a Victorian book too, and it is beautiful. I cannot wait. I'm going to hopefully be able to use that around Christmas time. So those are coming up too. Now I've got my lamp on a table. Wanted to raise it up a little bit, add some dimension and depth in there so that it gives you some interest. It's glued on. Now I'm going to glue it down in the bottom. See, she's holding candles and she has a little lamp in her room. I love it. Maybe she just lit that lamp with some of those candles, and now she's going to see her sister. I'm going to glue the sewing machine down there. Just added a little antiquing wax here and there. There's a coal bucket. I'm going to put that up there with the sister in the top. She's kind of reminded me of Cinderella. She's got the broom and the coal bucket in her room. She's the worker of the family. And look, y'all. Now, I know I need something right on the top, right? We got to do something to fancy it up. So I'm going to take this large button or decorative piece, whichever one. It doesn't have a button ring on the back, so it was in there and I'm using it. It looks like a doily. So if you didn't have something like this and you had a small doily, you can certainly use that. Or maybe even paint a snowflake and use that. Love the cutouts in it. So it was green and now it's gold and I'm drying it. Then I'll take a little more of the wax, what was left in the brush, and just kind of tap that in there to give it a little age. Yes. Then I'm going to add some glue on the back and put it in that top section. Oh my goodness. Now I'm lining it up with my fingers in case you're wondering. I'm trying to make sure that that line, center line, is straight up and down, which is a little bit off, but who cares? It won't bother me. Think of all the different things you could put in yours. Mine, I have kind of a Victorian theme going, but you could do anything that you wanted to with this. Any banner set, any card that you have, you could do this for Christmas with Christmas cards. Okay, so I have this pink button and I decided to paint it black and then brush over it with some gold and add that so each of the little ladies have something special. And I just put it where her waistline would be. And then this button, I thrifted. It's got velvet in the center and it's metal on the outside. I'm just holding it with my little tool here and I'm brushing that same gold all over that metal part. And I'll give it 2 coats, drying it in between, because if you don't dry it, it's just going to pick the same paint up and move it. And then it's just too much work. Just let it dry. And then I know we're not all patient. I'm definitely not a very patient person, but I promise you the results are worth it. I cut the back off of the button so they would lay flat. And then look, they each have their little adornment, their own little personalities. Their rooms are different. You can kind of see a storyline with each of these sisters. So which sister are you? Are you the lady with the light? Are you the seamstress over there? Are you the one who loves the animals and works? works a lot, cleans a house, nice and tidy house. So I really hope that you like this one and consider it if you do not have a little curio cabinet that you can use. Now I've added little tea lights in here, and these are battery operated tea lights that I already had. You can get these pretty much anywhere, into each room, and look how pretty that is. You can see each of those ladies. You can light yours up any way you want. You could do fairy lights in here, drill a little hole in the back, whatever you want to do. But this one is near and dear to my heart. We're going to start with this one. The little creepies on the side is going to be a little too much. So what we're going to do is, to fit in the 5x7 piece, we're going to cut this, and we'll save the little creepies for another time, and we're just going to use the house. This is my paper cutter. If I can find the link to it, I'll add that in the description box for you. We can just take that little paper from the inside and use it as a template and cut. You are free to use your scissors to do this. Whatever you have to cut your piece out is totally fine. So we'll put that one aside for another project. And we still have to trim it down just a little bit, and I just decided I'd rather sacrifice the bottom section so that we can have all of the house and some of the sky in there. I'll line it up and just cut that. And now we have the perfect size picture to go in the frame. We don't have to worry about the white on the side because it'll be behind the black. Of course, we're going to use some string lights. These are linked for you below also. Use whatever kind you like. To do it a simple way, you can just put your lights around the box to the back of the frame. But we're not going to do that. We're actually going to use these lights to go in the windows and doors of this little canvas. I've done this before on a larger scale in a shadow box. It was so well received that I thought that to make it a little more possibly Dollar Tree friendly, or with items that you're more likely to find, like printing your own pictures out and using a Dollar Tree frame, but perhaps you can do something similar on your own if you like these light up projects. So depending on how many little lights you have on your strand, it's going to depend on how many lights that you might want to put in your windows or your doors. You can put them together, and I'm showing you how you can double them up by putting them side by side and twisting that strand, because it is only on wire. You know, it's a thin wire. You can bend it. I've never had a problem with these breaking. They're just very flexible and very thin. So I am leaving the lights on while I do this so that I can get my placement right. And I put it on the back of the canvas and turn it over and look at it and see if it is positioned correctly. And then I'll put it back down, holding it in place. Grab a piece of Scotch tape and just tape it down. I found that using tape to do these is a lot easier than trying to use glue, because the glue is going to leave bubbles. It's not going to lay flat. It won't hurt the strand of lights. In my experience, I've used glue on these before, and hot glue has never been an issue. And it's not going to grab fast enough with any other type of glue, so Scotch tape is perfect for me. Look at that. Don't you love that glue? I know that you can get these in a bright white, or you can get them in that kind of a natural yellow light, which is what I always choose, given the choice. They just look warm and mysterious to me. We're down to our last little window. And put that in place. Isn't that pretty? Already, to me, that looks so pretty. So you want to be sure that you're using all of your lights, and that the only lights are in the places that should be lit up. So if you had a moon up there, you could put it on the moon, you know, whatever you want to use for that. I'm going to tape these in place and then tape over any wire so nothing gets pulled apart. Hey, if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe. It's been one of those days. It's always one of those days. If you followed me long enough, you know it's always one of them days. Let's just be honest. I'm a mess. Okay, so now I'm just going to use a tiny bit of hot glue to smear around here on the edges, which will be behind the frame, to put that original display piece back on there. You want to be sure that you cover it completely. You see how you can see the light through the side? We don't want that. We want it all to be blocked out.
You want to put something behind it that's dark so that you can see the light really bright in there. Okay, so I'm going to pull the back off because we really don't need that. You can put it back on if you want, but then you'd have to worry about feeding that light box through there, and we don't want to do those things, do we? No, it's too much trouble, and we don't have time for that. We're busy women and gentlemen, aren't we? Just using a little bit of hot glue, I'm going to pop these back on. This is not heavy, so it's going to stay. We're not going to have to worry about anything falling off. Then I'm just going to glue the box where I can still get to the little toggle to turn it on and off. And I'm trying to find the best way to do it where it won't be in the way. So I'll just sit it right down here with the little control on the side. To help it stand up, instead of hanging this, you have that option. You can use some of these little squares that you get from Dollar Tree. I'm adding a little bit of glue, put them down on the paper that I just peeled off, and why not? It's there. May as well. It'll save a little bit of money. And then I'll paint these black. I'm not really concerned about the bottom that is glued down. You don't have to have paint on that part because it'll be up against the whatever you set it on. If you set it on the table, that part's going to be on the bottom. Totally up to you. You want to paint the whole thing, you go right ahead and do that. You don't want to make these exactly square. You want to bump them up just a tad so that it slightly can push backwards. Otherwise, it's going to keep falling forward. I hope that made sense. And you can see that it stands up okay. Does absolutely fine. And this is like I don't even know if this is really glass. I think it's plexi or something. This is how it looks. And you can turn it on and off. And here's another look at it. I really like this, and I hope that having made this easier version of this for y'all, that you enjoy this and that you consider making something like this of your own. I love these canvases. They're so spooky and creepy, I think.
I've got some ink black chalk paint, some metallic copper spray paint. Love this brand. This is part of a banner from TEMU. This is a thrifted frame. Needed a little repair, so I fixed it right here. Got it all fixed up. Nobody wanted it but me. I love it. And then this is some more of that thick felt. These are the approximate measurements to give you an idea. You could also take apart a mirror. If you have something like this with a mirror, you can take that mirror out. We're going to use it as a frame. So once it's been wiped down and of course repaired if you need it, you'll shake the heck out of that can, take it outside and spray it. You can do 1 or 2 coats. I just did 1 coat and let it dry in the sun. And this is how it looks so far. So this is going to be on the inside because we're going to use this as a picture frame. And I'm just making sure that it's going to have a good placement in there. I'll prop it up and then grab my white marker and just go around. You can't see a pencil on this, you just can't. So using like a white marker or a chalk marker will help with this. Just a light line on there so I could get my placement right. And then I'll grab up some scissors and trim it down. This is very easy to do. You can use any type, you can get a picture out of a magazine, you can get a picture off a calendar, any type of like a paper that has a picture in it that you like. Alright, so I'm going to lay this down on this felt. Like I said, this is very thick felt. And it's going to be a good backing for this. I've been using it a lot when I do portraits and framed art. So then I'm going to cut this one out. Takes a little time. Like I said, it's stiff, so it's kind of rough to cut through, but we're going to do what we can. I'm going to grab my matte Mod Podge. It really doesn't matter what kind of Mod Podge you use under here, but I'm trying to be consistent in the 3 things that we're doing today so that you don't have to buy something new for every project that you do, right? You can still have a moody look, and you don't have to spend a fortune. And plus, when you do it this way, then you have pieces that work well together. Alright, so I'm not going to soak that. I'm just going to be sure that it's enough that it, will grab onto the paper. You can then take your scissors and trim that up if you need to, you know, where the white and black are even. I'm going to take my squeegee and just pull that across there. It's going to press it down nice and flat. It is a thick cardstock, so wrinkling is not going to be an issue, but if you're going to use something that's thinner, you're going to be sure that you're careful. Now, I'm not using the Mod Podge to seal this. I'm using it to mattify the picture. Because it's a glossy finish, I want it to be a little more matte. Just my preference. You don't have to do it this way. Just my preference. So I'm going to put one thin layer on there, and then I'll give it a quick dry. You can sit it in front of a fan, or you can walk away and work on something else. Totally up to you. So I'm going to grab a sponge, and I'll show you how I do this later on in the video, how I get this sponge like this. I'm just going to kind of pat it down into the black and then press a little bit off, and then I'm going to make it like a cameo. I'm going to go all the way around so that the main focus of the picture is on this beautiful little witch that's in the picture. Now, I used a witch because I have some Halloween things and I'm still working on Halloween on this channel. But if you don't want to use her, you could do any type of a Victorian picture if you would like. Even an old black and white would be very pretty too. Just got to kind of use your imagination, right? Now I've got my chippy brush, I've gone into the black, and then just bobbing it up and down, it pushes it up into the bristles, and I'll start just dragging this across here to make this look aged. Now I do realize with copper there is a patina that you can get that's that bluish, really pretty bluish greenish color that you can put on it. So if you wanted to add that onto your piece, you could add that. But for me, I'm keeping it dark and moody and not adding that at all. But you could. So this is like if you had a brand new, beautiful, pretty penny, and then it has been aged and touched and sat out in, you know, the elements. Maybe there's a, if you imagine a haunted house with a broken window and the wind is blown in and the rain has been on it, the weather has been on it, or it's just been in the house and it's just old. You know, it's just old. Put as much on there as you would like. I want some of that copper still showing. Then I have some copper here. I'm going to go into that, pat a little bit off, and go over around this black. Now most of this area on the outside will be on the outside underneath the frame. Alright, so I'm just going to keep on patting it down, and if you don't dip into the black or the gold, the copper, excuse me, anymore, then it will just start to kind of fade it a little bit, make it look a little more aged, which is what I like. And so I'm going to leave mine just like this. Now there's some detail on here with some flowers and some vines and some filigree. So I'm just going to take a really thin brush here, and this is actually like a bridge brush that you would use for stenciling, I do believe, but it may just be a detail brush. I have some of those too. And I'm going to go over the flowers. I want to leave the darker spots in there because if you color the whole thing, you won't see any of the detail and it'll just look like a copper blob, right? So even when I go along the lines, I'm not going to completely cover the lines. I'll go to the outside so you can still see that dimension there. You don't have to do this, but for me, I like what it added. And I just love to paint. Y'all know that now, right? I mean, if you've been watching my videos for any amount of time, you know I love to paint. So I'm just going to do this till my little heart is happy. And this is what it looks like. And then I'm going to let her dry. A little bit of heat here because I need to move quickly to get this stuff out to y'all. And by the way, thanks again for everybody who has been encouraging. Y'all have kept me moving through this whole process. The whole process. It's kept me motivated. It's kept me doing the work. And I may have to put out a mega video every now and then just to stay on schedule. And I thank y'all for that, because even if it's things in a mega video that you've seen before and you just watch it, you know, you just listen to it while you're cleaning or doing something else, that helps my channel tremendously. Tremendously. Okay. So there she is. We've got the back on, we've got her in there, and I love the way this looks. You could also put lights on the inside if you wanted to, but I'm going to leave it classy and moody and rich, just like it is. I hope you like this one. There's so many ways you can do it to make it your own. I love the difference it makes when we put them in front of the studio lights. Man, they really pop, don't they? She's so cute. She's a cute girl. She's got her raven. I'm going to use some baby wipes. These are just water wipes. Here's a sponge, some antique wax, copper paint, same as before. This is my print from TEMU. Get yours anywhere you like. I love it. And then I'm going to recycle a canvas that I already had, which is almost the same size as my print, and that's going to be our backing. Look at this beautiful thrifted brass looking metal piece that I got. It's a frame, y'all. I'll talk more about that in a little while though. Okay, so that gives you an idea of the measurements. And this is how it looks. I love all that detail. I'm going to take the string off because apparently there was a sale tag on there. I did get mine at the thrift store. And I'm going to clean it. Now for cleaning it, I don't want to take the texture away from the rust that's on there because I'm going to go with that rust. I'm going to help use it for texture, right? I'm going to help use it. Put a mask on and some eye shields because you are going to be throwing up some rust and you don't want to inhale that stuff or get it in your eyes, okay? You can do it outside also, or do it with a vacuum cleaner brush. You see this little hole right there? It's for a light kit. Some of y'all know exactly what this is. I know you've seen them before in somebody's house. Then I'm just going to take a dry paper towel and I'm going to wipe off all of that leftover rust. Look at that. I want to wipe that off. I don't want that getting in my brush and dulling my paint. I don't want any of that to happen. So I'll take it outside and I'm going to spray paint it. While that's outside being dried with the paint, I am going to grab my Mod Podge. It's matte, but it doesn't matter. Like I said before, we're just going to continue along with the same, so you don't have to go buy any more. Okay, so now I have a nice thin coat, just enough that my canvas is going to stick down to the backing. Whatever way you want to lay yours down there to make sure it's centered, you're going right ahead and do it. I'm going to press it down, and then I'll flip it over. And this is my little Mod Podge. It's a brayer and a squeegee on the other side. You can look at plaidonline.com and see if you can find one of those. I love my tool. It's very nice. I didn't use the roller part because I didn't need to. This was sticking down fine. To finish off the ends, I'm going to grab the glue gun. Put your cool temperature on so you don't burn your fingers, or grab your finger protectors because I didn't do it in this video. I was a bad girl. All right, so we're going to press it into there, turn it around to the other side, and do the same thing. Now this is also going to help hold it in place while that Mod Podge dries. I'm pulling and pushing at the same time so it lays flat. Now I'm going to grab these little clamps that I use all the time and I rave about because I just absolutely love them. I think it's one of the best things Dollar Tree has ever done. I'm going to clamp my sides down so nothing rolls, nothing tries to pop up while I let it dry, and I just let mine dry overnight. But it's totally up to you. You could use it as it is while it's still a little bit damp, or you could use a glue stick and then you don't have to worry about that dry time. Totally up to you. Now there's a little spot on here, so if you have a light or a white canvas, like this is kind of a bright white, I'm just going to take my eraser and clean that up. That's all it takes to get that off. You do not want to be throwing away your beautiful canvas for no reason. Now this is a bath sponge from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to show you how I cut this to use as a crafting sponge, and you can get lots of pieces out of here. You want to be sure that you cut off every straight line and angle on here. You want this to look almost like a rock, right? You don't want any straight angles at all, because that's going to leave a pattern when you use it when you paint, and you don't want a repetitive pattern. You want something that's rounded like this so that you can switch sides if you want to. Look, isn't that pretty? That's with that copper. So now I've got my ink paint, and I've got my lovely, lovely gloves that y'all love so much. Gonna get these things on. They really do protect your hands, by the way. They look silly, but they work. Oh yes, loving it. Okay, so we're gonna tap into that. And then I'm just using this little box because it'll wipe off of it. I'm just using this. You use some paper, some plastic, whatever you have to pat that off. And then I'm going to start right here in the corner. I always start with a light hand. If you're new here, that's something you should know that I do. I start off with a light hand, and then I get heavier and add to it as I go. Because once you put a big blob on there, it's hard to get off. It's dragging it to the sink, trying to clean it really fast before it dries, and I'm just not for that kind of work. I'm not going to do it. I'd rather take my time. I mean, just to be honest here. Take my time and make it a little bit at a time. Darken it a little at a time. Like aging over the years goes, you know, we're going to add on 5 or 10 years at a time rather than taking it to 100 years just immediately. I just ain't going to do it. Now, be sure you do the outside. Be sure you do the corners. I'm going to add a little more on my corners, and there's little pieces that go from the corner to the inside, and it's what actually holds the frame together. It's like a little belted section, and I'm going to make those a little bit darker just because I like the look of that. Then get over where the little light's going to go. Be sure you do that. I pay more attention around the edges as well. If you've got a spot that you can't get into, just get a little brush and go in there like I did around the inner line until you get it built up as much as you would like. Then I'm going to go over it with my dryer and make sure everything is dry. All right, now this is dry. I'm going to take all my clamps off. And we're going to start aging this because we don't want to put a crispy white picture, which I think is beautiful as it is, but not for the moody decor that we're looking for in this video. So I'm going to grab my antiquing wax, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways and how you can layer. Okay, so the more wet that baby wipe is, the more sheer the application will be. I'm going to put it on here and go all the way over, pressing a little harder into the corners, just kind of shade it out. There's a darn gnat in here. That's one thing about having your doors open. It's just a gnat. Daggum gnat is going to hit me in the forehead between the eyes, hit me in the lip while I'm talking. Anyway, I want to thank you if you were here and you put up with my craziness. Whatever brought you to my channel. If a friend requested it, if it was shared, if I popped up in your recommendations, if you're just here for the first time because you are searching for moody fall decor, then you are in the right place and you are welcome here. We don't talk politics here. We don't talk religion here. But we do pray for each other when we need it. We sure do. And we send light and positivity all the time. All right, so then I used a dry terry cloth, like a dry baby washcloth, to take it off. And it left a layer on there. We're going to build this up. Like I said, y'all look at all my gray in my hair. I'm so excited. The next time I get it cut, I will get all the rest of the strawberry blonde out, and I will be completely gray. I'm so excited. All right, so I'm just going to go around. You can see what I'm doing. You're going to let this sit, you know, just a few minutes before you wipe it back. Just a few minutes, and then what you're doing is gradually adding layers on here. You could probably use like a watered down paint, but I feel like the antiquing wax, because it's a wax, is easier to move around on that canvas. Now if you choose that you just want to use a brush for the whole thing, grab a chippy brush, go over your edges, and don't be concerned about the white on the edges here. That's going to be hidden. That's going to be on the back side of the frame, so that's not a problem. Oh, but you need to check first on your piece just to make sure. Stupid Ned. Now he's on the microphone, looking at me, judging me. Okay, so now I'm just, make sure that you blend it all in. Now the brush is dry. It's kind of a dry brush technique. And at this point, I've actually tapped into just a tiny bit, and I'm tapping that into the trees just to give that a little more darkness. And then I'll use that same gentle technique around the top of the castle. You can see I left the water a little bit darker, and I love this amount of aging on this piece. This looks like a foggy day at the castle rather than a sunny day, and I love it. Now, you know all those tubes you get when you get your prints from TEMU? I use those for making lights and things in my projects, so I want to show you how you can do it. You're just going to measure down on that plastic how far you need your light to go over. Then I'm using like a little craft knife to just cut through it. You can use a saw, you can use whatever you want, but it's just, you know, this is here in my reach and it's easy to do. Keep your fingers out of the way, be super careful. Okay? Then I have these string lights. I get these in packs of 10. You can get them in bigger packs. I get mine from TEMU. Get yours wherever you like. I like that it has a very small charger box and it has 3 different settings. You can do like a quick flash, a slow flash, or you can leave it solid, and most of the time I leave mine solid. So I'm going to pull it out so that it has enough lights to go from end to end. The light pack fits straight down in there. You put the cap back on and look, we have a little light that fits perfectly up in that casing. To stick that down, rather than using glue, because I want to be able to take it in and out so that I can turn it off, right? I'm going to use some of that double stick mounting tape I use all the time from TEMU. It is clear, it's like a gel, it's got tape on both sides. I'm going to peel that back layer off, and then I will press this down into that. Perfect. Now we need to put the back on. I just went ahead and moved it out of the way. I know that it works, I moved it out of the way. Now I'm going to put the print down into the frame. So I'm just adding some pieces down here in the corners of that tape. And I will also be adding some pieces that are a little bit longer and thinner. I'm just trimming it to fit my needs, you know, what I need here to stick it down. I didn't want to use glue, but if you're very careful, you could probably use hot glue. Totally up to you. Or you can get some, you know, tape from Dollar Tree or wherever you want to get it. Walmart, wherever you want to get it. I don't want people to think I'm pushing one thing or the other just because I'm an affiliate. I'm not. I just want everybody who sees my videos to be able to get what they need for their projects. That's all. All right, so now that I have it there and I get it in place, I'm going to press it down. I'll press it. All right, the back is on. The print is in the gorgeous frame, and we have got our light fixture popped right back in there. And look at this. Y'all, this was a Jesus picture that had come apart. A friend of mine, she took the Jesus picture and I took the frame. Isn't that wonderful? Yes, Cindy has the beautiful piece with Jesus and I have this frame. I hope you like this. I hope you like the way this looks. And again, if you wanted to add any of that patina look to yours, you could certainly do that, but it's just not what I was going for in this set. Here it is with all the lights off. I hope you like it as much as I do. All right, here's that copper paint again, and the black, and that Mod Podge. Okay. I am taking these 2 little candle pieces. They have little hangers on them. We're going to be using these. Some tea lights or some little flameless candles, some wire, and these 2 pieces from Dollar Tree. I'm recycling these. All right, I'll take these outside and spray them down. Now I'm going to take these candles apart. Just going to take those handles off, and I'm going to put them aside for future projects. We won't need them. So you won't need a candle that has a handle on it. You can just grab any candle that you like, but it needs to have little divots or little creases where you can use wire to attach them. I'm going to thoroughly wash and dry my candle cups, and I'm also going to be sure that I take the stickers off. Of course, we're not mini pearling it, right? I'll grab some of my tape, and this is it's like a black chalkboard type paint type tape, but I use it as a masking tape and it works perfectly. Got to think outside the box, folks. Now when you put these pieces of tape on a rounded surface, it's going to pull down. You see how it's pulled down there? But don't worry, because we're going to fix that. I found that if you use smaller pieces, instead of trying to put one big piece on there, you can curve it a lot better. So if it wrinkles at the top, it doesn't matter, as long as you get your line straight on the bottom. If you have any little sections that overlap or are out of the way like this, grab your utility knife and just cut that off in the curve. See? We fixed it. That easy. Do it again. Nice and flat. Okay? We're going to do that on both of these to make sure they have a ring around the top. That gives us a clear section at the top that will not get any paint. Now we are going to stuff the inside. You can use paper, you can use newspaper. My paper towels were here, so I'm using that. You could even use Walmart bags. You know, you could use some plastic, recycle something, it doesn't matter. Then I'm going to take a piece in the top, push it down, and then overhang the sides. I don't want that little lip getting any paint on it either. I'm just going to be sure that when I tape this paper towel down, that I'm putting the tape right on top of the other tape. Don't let it extend past it, or it's going to get in the way of your spray paint finished. You don't want that to happen. Continue all around until the rim of that is covered and your line is straight. Okay, we're going to do both of those like that. After they have been spray painted outside, this is how they're going to look. And then we're going to peel off the paint. Now, I did let the spray paint dry completely in the sun, and the spray paint you can see is on those little shingles or whatever those Gothic pieces are in the back. And then I am going to remove all of my tape. Pull that out, and this is what it's going to look like so far. You can see I'm just using my weeding tool and the little pieces that stuck on there. Now I have a nice crisp line, and I like the way that looks. There's both of those so far. Now I'm going to use the matte Mod Podge, and I'm going to go over the top of this and the rim, all of that up there. And then I'm going to go all the way over the paint as well, and I'm going to continue in a circular motion all the way around the candle so that I don't leave any harsh marks or shadows or whatever in there. So I'm going to go with that curve all the way around and all the way over the bottom as well, just like this. And I'm making sure that it's even all the way around, especially up there on the top where it has the clear glass. We're going to put that aside, let that dry, and I am going to start on these beautiful arches. So I am going in the middle with black, and I am kind of accentuating the shape there, flicking upward and outward from the center, and then I'll do the same thing on the sides. All the way around, because we are going to age these up just like we aged the other two pieces, and that's what's going to pull it all in together. The colors are similar and the technique that we use are similar. They're not exactly the same, but they're similar. Then I'm going to go on the crossbars and get those. If you wanted to use your sponge on this, you could use your sponge on this because we've been using that already, but you can also use your brush and just drag it across there. That's going to give it some aging. Now what I really like to do is make sure that my two pieces are similar. So this is what this one's going to look like when I get it all together. And I'll put these two beside each other to make sure that they are similar to one another, because when you use them in your decor, they're most likely going to be in the same area, hanging on either sides of doors or either sides of the television or whatever. So I want them to be somewhat similar, but not twins, right? Not twins, but maybe cousins, right? You know what we say about that? And it's easy enough to kind of, fix them if they're not exactly the same. It's easy. All right, so once that's done, I'm going to go on the inside just where it's clear. It doesn't matter if it overlaps onto the painted section on the bottom. It's okay. But I just want to make sure that this is like a foggy look, or a, what is the word I'm looking for? It's just going to be kind of like a smoky look, maybe. Frosted. That's the word for it. Frosted. And the more layers you put, the more frosted the look is going to be. But just be sure that you dry it in between. And I'm going to go over the top again, because why not? Everything needs to be consistent and even. And then I'm going to do it for both candles, and then I'm going to dry them. I'll give them a little head start with my heat here, and then I'll put them aside by the fan. Then I'm going to seal these with my Mod Podge sealer. Then we're going to put the candles on the beautiful arches. So because my candle cup has a curve where it's almost like a little pot belly on the bottom and the top is more narrow, I need something that's going to fill that gap. So these beads that I have are going to be great to place in there so that they are steady and they don't flip around, they don't move around. See the frosted look on the top of that glass? I love that. I think there's a product that you can buy too that will give you that frosted look. I just figured my Mod Podge would do it, so why buy something else, right? Okay, so I've twisted my floral wire around there. I'm going to push it through my frame right at the bottom. Now the reason I do it at the bottom is because the cup will sit right on the bottom. That's just the shape of my candle cup. Totally up to you how you want yours to work out. But you can use wire to hold it in place. And for those of you who are concerned about that silvery metallic looking wire, you're not going to see that when we get finished. I've got, see that string over there on the right? We're going to be covering that up, so no worry. I want the wire though because it's going to give me a sure stability. Do not, when you do something like this, put a regular flamed candle in it, because you don't know. Something might fall, something might burn, right? You don't want anything like that to happen. Let's just go ahead and use a flameless candle. And if you like the way candles smell, just get you a wax melter, right? Just get you a little wax burner, and that will be the scent, and people will think it's coming from your candles. So I'm taking some black cord. I think that I got this from Dollar Tree. It feels like I had like the black cord, the brown cord, and a white cord all together. I'm not sure what the material is they're made out of because I use them. They're off of their original packaging, so I can't say for sure. But it is thicker than string. And it is not jute. It's not jute either. Okay, so I'm going to now start putting the string on the bottom. This is going to give more security. I'm going to go around the bottom, and then for me, instead of going in the holes right next to that bar that goes down the middle, I'm going right to the outside. So we're not going over where we put the wire in. It's right next to it, because I feel like that's going to give it more stability rather than it rocking back and forth, and I don't want that to happen. So you just want to tie it on tightly, whatever you use. And hey, if you've got one that's bigger than what I have, you can use that on there too. You can use something twice the size of what I had, and it will still look good on there. It's not going to be out of shape, and it won't cover up the top of that beautiful Gothic design. So you don't have to worry about that, okay? Remember, y'all, when you come to my channel, it's all about inspiring you. And I also like the idea of you leaving here feeling better about yourself. Whether it's from crafting, whether it's feeling supported, whether it's feeling the camaraderie of other people who have something in common. That's what I want you to feel. One of my recent videos, people were so kind to each other. There were so many comments where crafters went to other crafters and told them, you know, and talked to them about being confident and having faith in the future and just being good to one another. You don't know how much that touches my heart, that my channel on art can be something that can help cure your soul. Absolutely. And I'm not going to take credit for that. We all know where that came from. We know where that came from. That came from our source, right? We know where it came from. Now look, it's nice and sturdy, but I want the top to be a little thicker so it looks like the bottom. I'm just going to go back through that original bead, and if you put glue on there, it's going to pop off. You're going to have to use wire to put it together to keep it in place. I'm just telling you now. But look how sturdy that is, and look how nice it looks. I think it looks good. It is small, but it is what I had, and I wanted to try it, and I really do like it. And because my piece is it sits flat, I could actually use it sitting down as bookends. I could use it in so many different ways. Now, what you just saw me do is add a little hot glue from where I tied it so that it would stay down. And this is what it looks like. You can still see through that copper because I only put one coat on there. And you can see that light through there. I love it. So we'll do the same thing to the other one. Now we got little twinsies. We're going to age it a little bit. So I've got I just showed you that you can get chalkboard paint from Dollar Tree. I'm using the tiniest bit. Most of it is off of the brush, even though it looks like the brush is loaded. It is not. I'm using what remains on there. And I'm just going to go over in a circular motion the bottom and around the copper part, because I want it to not look like a shiny brand new piece. It needs to look like it has been around too. So that's what I did here. If you don't like the copper, you could do gold and black. You could do silver and black. See, you can sit it. I have mine sitting down now because I don't have a place on my display area here to hang the two pieces, so they're just sitting. But you get the idea. And this is in the full light, still quite bright. And then we'll switch to half light. Still a lot of warmth and glow. You can still see the copper through the black on those little arches. And here it is in the dark. Still love that. Now we can't see our arches as well, but a taller candle cup and candle would really show that for you. But it's still going to make a beautiful display in the daytime, even when the candles are off. So here's my special ornament that I found at the thrift store. Love this piece. I don't like the fact that it has iridescent glitter on the top, just not my thing. I'm going to use a little bit of aged copper and some bronze. This is actually called bronze. And I'm going to use a piece that I used for Christmas. We're going to use this again this year for this Christmas. It is a plastic cloche, and you may have had something like this in your home. I think it originally came from Target. I'll start by taking the hanger off the top. It is screwed in, and generally when I find pieces of these ornaments like this, they are screwed in unless the top pops off. I'll take a kind of a soft but firm brush, if that makes any sense, and try to get some of that glitter off, but I'm telling you, they really had it in there. It was really in there. So I thought, well, we're just going to add another one of those layered paint looks on this, just like we did on the other one. We're just going to make it look old, and when I say old, I mean old. Don't be scared, y'all. We're going to put some black paint on here, okay? Now, if you have a hanger that's the center of it goes all the way through, you can use the wired section of a piece of a floral pick that you no longer use. I save these because I use them all the time in other things. I'm just going to strip that off. And now I have a more narrow but sturdy piece that can hold this up if I want to use it. Just a touch of hot glue on there and that pick, and then I can hold it. So if you're not like me and you don't want to get your hands dirty and painted on, you could use this technique. But you know I don't care. I'm going to get my hands dirty because that's just how I do it. Now, I'm taking a brush and going down in every bit of the depressions in here. So we've got the raised areas that give us the dimension, and then you've got the lower areas where the shadows are. I am really going in there with that black paint to get this completely covered so none of the glitter shows, and so that every bit of the recessed areas will keep that black paint in there. So there's my top and bottom. I know which is which. I think it did a pretty good job there covering that. And now we want to bring our dimension back. So I'm going to start with my darkest color. Put it in the brush, push, push, push until it is up in the bristles. And then I'm going to brush in one direction all the way down. I'm not pushing specifically into the lower areas. The brush is sort of at a 45-degree angle. And I'm not going to go, I'm not going to go into the dark areas because I want those to continue to have that shaded look and that deeper look. So I'm holding it from the bottom to put on the darker color. Ooh, look how pretty. Oh my gosh, that looks like metal to me. I love that. Might not be your thing though, so you just go with your colors. This is a little drawer pull that I found at Goodwill, and I'm going to use this on the cloche. That same color I just used to dry brush on top of this ornament is the color that I put on the metal piece on that little drawer pull. Now I'm going to dry it so that my colors don't fuse. I want them individually to show. I'm going to take a different brush that's clean and add in the bronze color, packing it in there. Then I'm going to flip the ornament upside down so it's sitting on the end and I'm holding the top, and I'll brush this one all in the other direction. When you do it like this, I discovered this on this ornament, you give it a two-toned look. You'll have more gold in one direction than you have in the other direction. It'll be bronzier. Do you see the difference? So now we got more of a gold, and there we have more of that darker. There's the lighter, there's the darker. Oh my gosh, obsessed. Obsessed with this look. I'm making more of these. Now I don't have this particular ornament, but anything that I've got's got some texture on it. I'll be putting some more of these on my fall Christmas tree. Yes. Yes, I will. But you can do this with different colors. You could paint this like a copper, make your base color a copper, and then you can put like that aquamarine blue on there to make it look like that, like we did on the other set of ornaments. I'll try to link that video for y'all so you can see that one too, because I've got some other ideas about Christmas ornaments that might be helpful to you if you're interested in making something your own. I'm going to paint the whole thing black, the bottom, the whole thing. I'm going to take my glue gun, and the tip of it is hot. So right on the top of this plastic, it's not going to work on glass, but the plastic, if you push that tip down into the plastic, it will melt a hole into the top. You just have to kind of twist it a little bit and hold it there. You want to make sure that the diameter of that hole is going to be the size that your hanger or screw will fit through. I'm now taking, while that plastic is still kind of hot and malleable, I'm just taking my weeding tool and just kind of going around that hole to get that melted stuff out of the way before it dries and clogs the hole back up. If any is exceeding over the top, you just get a little something to sand it with, but don't sand off the sides, just the tip that needs to be removed. So here's the screw and here's the ornament. I'm going to snug the tip of that ornament all the way up to the top and then try to kind of hold it and put the screw back in it. And the size of that screw is the size of the diameter. In other words, it fits. The top of that screw will fit into the pull that I have. And that's important. You'll have to change your top if it doesn't work. It's got to be something that can actually fit in there if you want it to look like it is hanging inside of the cloche or inside of the little dome. And that's what I want. I want it to look like it's hanging in there. Look at that. You'll see it in a little bit. You'll see that it looks like it's actually hanging in there. It's just, I love it. I am adding a little bit of clear school glue. You can use a glue stick, whatever you want, and just putting a little round that I cut out of some scrap black fabric. And that's going to be my base. I decided to do that because I had some damage on it from before when I pulled the foam off of it. So I just covered it up with this. Gonna let it dry. Then I'm gonna start dry brushing over the pedestal or the base of this cloche. This is I'm using the same colors that I used before, and I'm just going to start building the color on here in the layers. When you do this and your paint is dry in between, you're going to be able to see a lot of dimension. It's not like iridescent, but it's very eye-catching. I don't know if the camera conveys it. I try to get a look in my end screens that I show y'all, the reveals, to let you see what it actually looks like. But even so, in person, it's so different. Maybe because we're using a dark base underneath, but it's very rich and Victorian to me. I love the look of it. I don't expect everybody to like it. This isn't everybody's cup of tea. So just imagine how you could do this in your own way. So once we've got that aged copper nice and dried, then I'll go back over it with the bronze, which looks like a gold. To me, it looks sort of like a champagne gold. And I'm going to go over that. I'm not trying to completely cover up what I've already put down. I'm working around it in the spots that don't have it and then slightly overlapping it. So it just gives it, why do I want to say the word pizzazz? But to me, that's what it does. Over and over. And this is just a paint. This is just a paint method, I guess, Do you see what I mean now? Can you see the difference? You can still see the black. You can still see the beautiful copper underneath, and then you've got the gold, and then here's that little floating ornament, our little special ornament inside of the dome.